These are the two best phones of the year, the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But which one is really the king? I've used both of them, tested everything, and found something really interesting. I want to say right off the bat that this is the first time that I'm switching to Android and feel completely at home. Usually I have to spend hours adjusting to how it all looks and works, but with Samsung, everything is pretty much the same. Both phones are made out of titanium and give a similar vibe, though I would still say that the iPhone, to me, looks a bit more fashionable and stylish than the Samsung. S24 Ultra is more professional and serious. There's just one thing that I don't like about the design of it: super sharp corners. The iPhone, despite having flat sides and glass, does have rounded edges and corners, which makes it comfortable. Samsung, on the other hand, is much more boxy, squarish, and this makes it less comfortable to hold. Some people will like this, but I'm not one of them. Though I can't ignore the fact that the display in the S24 Ultra has traditional 90-degree corners, which makes it a bit more comfortable to watch YouTube videos on it. Also, the camera cutout on Samsung is much smaller than on the iPhone. It's just a cutout, no fancy dynamic islands and stuff. Personally, I do like both of these approaches. S24 Ultra's cutout doesn't attract that much attention and can be easily ignored, but the dynamic island makes the cutout a significant part of the user experience. What I do like more about the iPhone is that the cutout houses not only the selfie camera, but also the Face ID sensors, which are much more secure than the Face Unlock on the S24 Ultra. While Apple uses a complicated array of sensors and dot projectors, Samsung just analyzes the imagery from the selfie camera to determine whether it is your face facing the phone or not. Over the years of using iPhones, I got so used to Face ID that it took me some time to adjust to the fingerprint reader on the S24 Ultra. And let me tell you, this scanner is so fast. You barely see the lock screen at all. I feel like it unlocks before my finger actually touches the display. That's how fast it is. Much faster than Face ID. Which approach do I like more? Hard to tell. Face ID to me is more convenient, but the fingerprint scanner on the Samsung is just so much faster. And overall, I do like the display in the Samsung more. It is much brighter at 2600 nits as opposed to 2000 in the 15 Pro Max. S24 Ultra also has a special anti-glare coating, which makes the display much less reflective. So despite being pretty close technically, the display of the Samsung just feels brighter and more vibrant. And I like that a lot. I think if Apple would ever do anti-reflective coating on the iPhone, it would be a couple $100 option. Also, these phones can be fragile, so I choose to protect mine with Caseco's new Airloft Cloud Cush case. Caseco, sponsoring this video, uses special technology that helps effectively absorb impact. It's like having an airbag on all sides of the phone, and the case is grippy and super convenient to hold. There's also useful kickstand and MagSafe support. This way, it's not only functional, but also a convenient case. This limited edition Airloft case has a special design with little 3D printed hearts inside the case. You have my words. Always be there for you. You have my heart. I love you. I think this case would be a perfect Valentine's gift for your loved ones. I will leave a link in the description, so be sure to check it out. And the S24 Ultra has the S Pen. It's this neat little stylus that I can just pop out the phone and, for example, scribble some notes. I can also use it as a camera remote, which is also pretty cool. I feel like the display of the 15 Pro Max is big enough for note-taking, and it would be cool to see something similar from Apple. Some might say that the action button in the 15 Pro Max is an advantage, the 15 Pro as well, but after using the latest iPhone for quite some time, I can say that it's not really as useful as you might think. It's not very functional unless you go absolutely crazy with shortcuts, but right now, Samsung is the winner here. It gets more interesting when we flip the phones, because the cameras in both of them are some of the best I've ever seen. I don't want to go super deep into the specs, megapixels, pixel sizes, and so on. All in all, boils down to processing and software. For example, Samsung by default default shoots photos in 12 megapixels, despite having a 200 megapixel main sensor. The iPhone shoots at 24 megapixels with its 48 megapixel sensor. This way, the photos on the iPhone from the main sensor usually are crispier and have more details in them. Even in low light, the iPhone takes the cake. The cameras in both are great, but the processing is different. Samsung tends to slightly brighter, more exposed shots, while it usually keeps the shadows somewhat dark. Technically, the photos from the Samsung are better, but realistically, I like the photos from the iPhone a bit more. They just look more natural and less processed. Also, the dynamic range on the iPhone is usually a bit better on all cameras. Highlight treatment is also slightly better. But where Samsung completely destroys the iPhone is the zoom, because the 15 Pro Max has only one zoom lens, 5x. The S24 Ultra has a 3x module and a 5x module, which gives it more range and flexibility. Also, the 5x camera on the Samsung has a resolution of 50 megapixels, which allows it to crop in twice and get 10x shots. No matter which zoom I pick, the Samsung will always have more detail and less of that watercolor look. Overall, I'd say that the iPhone in terms of photos is more consistent than Samsung. When you tap the shutter button on the iPhone, you pretty much know what you get. With Samsung, it's always some sort of a lottery. You either get an amazing picture or a subpar one, you never know. But this is what makes it exciting to shoot photos with Samsung. Yet, where the iPhone is still unbeatable is in terms of videos. No matter which camera you choose or which shooting mode, the videos from the iPhone will look more consistent and better. And I'm not talking about the resolution of videos, but mostly about the consistency of colors and dynamic range on them. Samsung likes to shift the exposure rapidly while shooting videos, which in turn affects colors and the visual consistency of the video. On the iPhone, all these changes are more subtle and less noticeable. Though in terms of resolution, Samsung clearly is the winner. For example, you can shoot 8K videos, and that is great for cropping while editing. And slow motion videos in Samsung are also a bit better because you can shoot 4K 120 FPS. The iPhone peaks at 1080p to 40 FPS. However, you can shoot videos in log and ProRes. So I would say that if you are serious about colors in your videos, then the iPhone is a better choice. But if you want to shoot a video and have a ton of crop and flexibility, then Samsung is your guy. But it's not only about shooting photos and videos on Samsung, it's also about editing them. And here, Samsung clearly has a lead, because it packs a ton of AI features that transform the experience of using the phone. For example, I can slow down any videos in my library by just holding the finger on it, and it doesn't matter whether the video was shot on this phone or on your first camcorder. The AI will analyze every single frame and then create new ones on the fly without me waiting a single second for everything to process. I can even save the slowdown video. And if any of my photos has annoying people in them, I can erase them in a couple clicks. I can also move stuff around on photos and AI will fill in all the blank spots. The iPhone has no such features, and the only thing I can do with photos and videos on the iPhone is just the colors and exposure. That's basically it. Huge win for Samsung. But AI doesn't stop there on the S24 Ultra, because it has penetrated almost into every app on the phone. The keyboard now can fix my spelling mistakes, translate my text, change its style and so on, and it works in any app without a need to turn on anything. The AI can also organize my notes and format them in a coherent and visually pleasing way. Even the web browser in Samsung is AI powered. It can summarize web pages for me, translate them, and I'm still not done, because with the S24 Ultra, I can generate my own wallpapers, making my phone unique and different. This freedom of customizability on the Samsung is so vast that the iPhone doesn't even come close. Samsung lets me customize the system in every possible way, from fonts and icon colors to the style of any element like the volume indicator. It's really like a Lego set. I can do whatever I want and no one will stop me. Feels quite liberating, you know. The iOS has its own quirks, but they mostly have to do with the ecosystem. Samsung doesn't have AirDrop, so it won't be a good match for my MacBook. I cannot also use my Apple Watch with the Samsung to the full extent, but I can use my Oura Ring or the Whoop Band or the Garmin watch. And the iPhone is just so familiar and convenient most of the time that I don't even think when I use it. Whereas with the Samsung, I do have to think about camera mode, setting up features in the settings, and so on and so forth. I'm not sure that we need to compare performance on these two phones. Both of them are rocking the latest chips they could get. The iPhone has the A17 Pro and the Samsung Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. Samsung also has more RAM, 12 gigs instead of 8, but when it comes to the actual user experience, the phones are pretty much matched. Both are super fast and responsive, all apps open almost instantly, and it's just pure joy. Though the animations on Samsung are much faster and shorter than on the iPhone, which sometimes can create the impression of a faster phone. I wish Apple had an option to tweak the speed of animations. I do like comparing these two phones. They're so similar, yet so different. For example, both have a huge battery and have amazing battery life, but the Samsung in my use cases can survive a bit longer. When my iPhone is already dead, the S24 Ultra still has 15 to 20% of battery left. And I would say that this is pretty amazing. So which one should you get? Should you switch to the S24 Ultra if you have an iPhone? I think that if you are an Android user or you've always wanted to try Android, there is no better phone for that than this one. It's a perfect combination of everything that Apple does right and the benefits of the Android. And if you want to go for consistency and predictability, then choose the iPhone. It won't let you down and you will always know what to expect from it. The S24 Ultra is a surprise box, while the 15 Pro Max is no surprises. If you care about the money, the iPhone is just a little bit cheaper right now, but in a few months when Samsung goes on sale, it will be a better deal. And in case you're also planning on upgrading your laptop, you might want to check out our video with the best MacBook alternatives, and see you there.